You're watching Tri Vibes TV. Welcome to another weekly training video where I'm here to talk through all of the training I'm doing to prepare for Ironman Texas coming up in just about 8 weeks. In today's video, we'll take a look at my triathlon training day by day from last week. We'll take a look at my training plan for the week coming up ahead, and we'll check in with the Garmin training status data, and we'll do our normal Monday thing. So last week's training was another tough week of Ironman training, and it was particularly challenging because I had a small crash last Sunday. I mentioned in my previous video, fell off my bike going low speed, landed on my left side. I'm not an athlete who has a lot of experience with recovering from falling or falling in general. So it was definitely, I knew, going to be a tall order for me to just sort of mentally be okay last week and not be super focused on the injuries that may or may not have happened during the fall. But I'm happy to report that despite the added level of mental stress, physically I have felt better and better and better day by day. And I was able to complete all of the training that I had on my plan last week. So I don't think I could ask for a better sort of post-crash week of training, all things considered. So another thing, cool detail, I got a brand new GoPro you might have noticed in the little intro clip. And I'm hoping to use that camera to get a little bit more action footage. As you can see, got my kiddo with the camera mounted on his helmet, being my little cameraman, and I'm really happy to have this new tool to make more content here for YouTube. So all that out of the way, let's take a look day by day at how the training week broke down, and then we will wrap things up as usual with a nice little bow. On Monday, first training session after the crash, got to the pool, did not have high expectations, swam about 1,600 yards. I did not push the pace. I was definitely feeling my left shoulder, my left neck. Basically, the area that impacted the ground was pretty slow, and my range of motion was limited as well in the pool. Went out on a nice run afterwards. A nice run. I considered it a nice run because it's a recovery run, very easy. It was beautiful weather, and despite the discomfort in my knee from the crash, I was able to jog that recovery pace and have some fun with my kiddo out there on Monday as well. Finished off the training day with my Monday night yoga, and that also was difficult. I think like the downward dog and any position where I was putting like in the push-up position was particularly challenging, but I was a little bit more flexible than I expected post-crash. I was able to rotate left and right, no problem. And ultimately, Monday was like that first sort of testing the waters, seeing if I could actually get up and keep moving the way I'd like to, and was able to get Monday done. On Tuesday, I went to the gym and I had my strength training early in the morning. Fortunately, at that point, even though it had been about 48 hours since the crash, I really didn't have much trouble doing the lifts, and I was I was so grateful that last week for my strength training plan was a deload week. So I was not being asked to lift heavy loads. It was a reduced, like, I guess the idea would be I'm lifting with lower weights, kind of like a recovery week with endurance training, right? So a bit of a down week in the gym. The only thing I had trouble with on Tuesday morning, I remember, was push-ups, like just regular push-ups. My left shoulder did not like them at all, did them modified on my knees, and still even then was not really a good experience. Speaking of not so good experiences, I did an interval ride on Tuesday that was really tough because I was using this spare pair of cycling shoes. I really don't think they qualify as, I mean, they worked in a pinch, but they just are really uncomfortable. They're flexible. My foot is a little bit too big. The right shoe is a little too small. But I, again, was definitely just trying to commit to not missing training sessions, trying to keep that post-crash moving, keeping my body going. So did that ride on Thursday with those weird cycling shoes and did a 1.5 mile run off the bike on Tuesday. Wednesday, got out and did 2 by 10 minute at marathon pace, so a little bit of speed work on the run. I'd say Wednesday is the first day that I was starting to feel a little bit of confidence that I hadn't really damaged anything in my hip, because I was able to run, and I was able to run at those elevated paces. Elevated pace for me that day was, what was that around? 7:30s. So I've been doing a lot of my running around 8:45, 8:30, that sort of marathon, Ironman marathon pace that I'm kind of targeting for the race. So I was really happy to get up into some faster paces on Wednesday, and I felt pretty good doing it. I think Wednesday was a little bit of a turning point for me because I started feeling a little bit more confident that I wasn't going to have to slow down. I didn't have any like injury. Basically, I really wasn't sure if I was injured all last week. I just kept showing up to training sessions and getting them done. Speaking of getting it done, on Thursday was such a busy day. Oh my God, Thursday was rough. I had an appointment at the VA medical hospital, which meant I had to kind of cram my easy ride in between strength training and my doctor's appointment. Did not enjoy that ride on Thursday because, again, I was using this pair of cycling shoes that was not ideal, but got the strength training done, got the easy bike done, and then I drove all the way up to the Woodlands and I got a brand new pair of cycling shoes. I would show them off if I had them here. I left them at the gym. I love my new cycling shoes, and I was really fortunate to find a pair in my size because the Louis Garneau cycling shoes, triathlon shoes that I love, have been completely discontinued. They don't make them anymore, so I was very lucky to find a sort of old stock in my size up at this bike shop about 90 minutes north from where I live. So bonus, I got to drive on the Hardy Toll Road, which is the Ironman Texas Toll Road race course. And I really enjoyed driving up and down on the Hardy Toll Road, just taking in the sights, thinking about how I'm going to be trying my best to survive the party on the Hardy at Ironman Texas. So Thursday, busy day, but really, really productive. And Friday, I got in the water and I swam the full Ironman distance, 4,225 yards, without stopping. I did not push the pace. It was more of a mental effort. I really just wanted to commit to, hey, you're going to have to swim 2.4 miles. And yes, that can be mentally tough, just like knowing that you have to swim for 90 minutes. But I swam for 90 minutes. I didn't even check my watch until I was about 55 minutes into the swim. So I swam for almost an hour without knowing how far or how long I'd been swimming. Kind of crazy now that I think about it, but it was enjoyable. 90-minute swim. I'm about 15 minutes slower in the water versus my pace for last year, but I'm not going to stress about that. I've known for more than a year that swimming was not going to be my priority for this year's Ironman Texas, and I am happy with a 90-minute swim. That takes us to the race rehearsal on Sunday. So Saturday, I spent the day basically getting my bike ready for Sunday morning. I got it cleaned up nicer than it's been in weeks. This was going to be my first ride on the road post-crash, and I just had this mentality of just sort of trying to dial in my gear as best as I could. Like, I cleaned my bike meticulously. I cleaned the chain thoroughly. I lubricated everything. I adjusted the derailleur. I got my race wheels put on. Like, I spent a solid 2 hours just geeking out over my bike and getting also the cleats installed on my new cycling shoes. So Saturday was basically a prep day for the training on Sunday, which was the first of two sort of official race rehearsal days. This race rehearsal called for an 80-mile ride outdoors, followed by a 6-mile run off the bike. I'm very happy to report that I completed the entire 80-mile course without crashing. There was there were a couple of close calls, but just getting that kind of a ride done and having it end well was a huge win for me. I think I was very nervous in the morning despite being prepared. I was very nervous. I guess I still wasn't sure, if some sort of pain from the injury was going to show up during the long training session. But fortunately it did not. Really enjoyed the bike ride despite the horrendous wind conditions that we were cycling in. It was a very, very challenging ride, and honestly, I don't think I could ask for better prep for race day because Ironman Texas is notoriously windy, and sure, the idea of riding my bike in perfect weather conditions and going 20 plus miles an hour, that sounds great, but the reality is often a lot more difficult than that. And so I am somewhat grateful for the challenging wind conditions that we faced on Sunday. Despite that, let's take a look really quick at the stats here for that bike. I was around 210, 209 watts average normalized power, probably a little bit lower than I'd like to be on race day, but kind of was considering everything, considering I just had the crash, like I was really taking it sort of as easy as I could. Average heart rate for that 4-hour ride was 138, which is probably a little bit lower than I can handle for that type of a ride. I think I could do 142, 145. So I think I can, maybe put a little bit more effort out during the next race rehearsal, see how that goes. And the run was really solid. I really got to say, 8:26 per mile, a little bit faster than I've been training. And yes, that's about 26 seconds slower than my race rehearsal from last year. I went ahead and looked it up. But I can remember how I felt during the race rehearsal last year. And I think I was approaching everything last year from a mentality of like, how fast can I get everything done? Like I was really focused on my paces, really focused on trying to sort of fit into this idea of like a certain time for my Ironman race last year. And that got completely blown out the window. I was like hours off what I thought I was going to do. So if anything, I can really be confident that the way I felt on my 6-mile run yesterday, I felt like I was running the first 6 miles of a marathon, and I did not feel like a sense of urgency. I felt relaxed. My heart rate was nice and low. And honestly, 8:26 per mile, I think that was maybe even a little bit too fast. Like it goes to show you just how different my mentality is last year versus this year. I can specifically remember just trying to push myself to run sub 8-minute miles on this rehearsal last year. And like, I am not even thinking about running that fast at any point during my race this year. So just a change in mentality. And of course, we'll see how it all works out in a couple weeks at Ironman Texas. So good training week done. Let's take a quick look at next week's training. Got my swim done already. Definitely felt a little rough this morning. Easy run also felt a little rough this morning, but fortunately, it was the kind of run where the first 5 minutes was really tough, but by the end, even though I was going really slow, like if you check out my pace, I was like super slow, 11-minute miles, average heart rate 120. Tried to keep this run like as easy as possible, like kind of a recovery jog. And I'm really glad that I did that because I honestly feel a lot better now post-run than I did when I started. So considering how banged up I feel from the race rehearsal yesterday, I'll take those 11-minute miles, man, all day. Tonight got yoga. Looking forward to yoga tonight. Hopefully I'm going to feel a little bit better in some of those positions. Looking forward to that. Tomorrow I've got a little bit of a spicy bike ride. 4 8-minute intervals. The first 2 at 70 cadence in zone 3-4. The second 2 at 90 plus cadence in zone 4. Honestly, I am looking forward to that. I'm going to have my new cycling shoes. We're going to do it live on YouTube as usual for these interval rides. Definitely looking forward to that. I don't know if my coach can read my mind, but I got out of the water this morning in the pool and was thinking, man, I think I need to swim more than twice this week. Maybe I can get a swim in on Wednesday, even if I don't have one on my plan. And voila, my coach heard my call for a swim on Wednesday, 2,300 yards. And then we got similar speed workout to last Wednesday, and that should be fun as well. Don't forget, got to put our strength. I'll do that live. We'll do the WooCar strength copy. Got to adjust that. We got to put that on Tuesday. Got my strength training tomorrow and on Thursday as well. Speaking of Thursday, got my strength session and then a 90-minute zone 2 ride. We'll see if I do that indoors or out. Not really sure. Friday, 3,000 yard swim. Sounds good. Saturday, 14-mile long run. Whoop. whoop. That's going to be my third 14-mile run. Looking forward to it. And Sunday, big day, 5 hours or 100 miles, whichever comes first. I wish I was the kind of cyclist right now that could question whether or not I can hit 100 miles in 5 hours, but considering the way the last 3 rides went on the road and how challenging the wind has been, I am not going to even get my hopes up. I'm going to look at Sunday's ride as a 5-hour ride. I am not going to try to get 100 miles done in 5 hours, but you never know. Maybe the conditions will be fantastic. But either way, 5 hours on the bike. I'm ready for that mentally. Run off the bike, 3 miles. Let's go. Another week of Ironman training. Finally, let's take a look at Garmin. It says I am maintaining. I had a brief little flirt with recovery status, but now I'm back in maintaining. I'm really proud of my HRV. Like, I am really, really happy to report that I've been balanced with my HRV status for a while. And that's really nice. If you look at like 6 months, I was doing a lot of this like kind of like crashing and burning, crashing and burning, crashing and burning. Now, granted, my HRV last night was very low. It was about 70 compared to about 95 or 100 on average. However, in my experience on big days of training, 5+ hours, I don't know if it's possible for me to have a good HRV status on days like that, like for real. So hopefully tonight that HRV overnight will be a little bit higher and keep my 7-day average in that optimal range, because I would like to see that in the green as much as possible. So I believe that's everything for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, keeping tabs on me. If you have any questions about my training, as usual, please go ahead and throw it in the comments. Or you can also reach out and send me a message on the Strava platform. I have a link to my Strava in the description. And I was happy to see I got a message from someone that I've met here on YouTube. They reached out to me over there on Strava, and I wasn't aware there was even a messaging feature on Strava, but there it is. You can always get in touch with me in the comments, or you can hit me up on the Strava messaging app. And I hope to see you in the next video next week. So take care. Thank you, and I'll be back next Monday.